Hello there, class. This is John Alfred, your professor in logic and critical thinking. Now, I decided to prepare a video lecture instead of having synchronous class with you because I want you to take care of your mental health, for you to take a rest and have a break. Okay. I hope you remember the strategy that I taught you on how to take care of your mental health. Right. To have a review, here is your PERMA strategy. Okay. PERMA strategy stands for positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. I hope it will be in your fingertips as you go along your journey. And please take care of your mental health. Now, let's move on to our discussion on the types of ideas. This is for our 5th week already. I hope you have already gone through your personal notes regarding our lessons. All right. So regarding the types of ideas, there are different types of ideas according to first, comprehension, second, extension, and third is according to relations. Now let's talk about types of ideas according to comprehension. Okay, types of ideas according to comprehension. What are these? First, we have simple and compound. These are the types of ideas according to comprehension with regard to structure. What are simple ideas? When we say simple ideas, these are ideas which express a single conceptual feature applicable to all, if not most. For example, being, existence. It is applicable to all things around you. When you look at the trees, when you look at the sky, when you look at the sun, when you look at the light, all of these are existing. So when you say existence, it naturally deals or refers with all this stuff around you. Okay, when you say compound ideas, these are ideas which express several conceptual elements or features. Examples of compound ideas are man, computer. Okay, when you think of man, there are several conceptual features. Like for example, man is rational. Man is a rational animal. So when you put all these several conceptual elements or features together, you think of man. Okay. And another example here is computer. Okay. It has a lot of conceptual features like electronic, processing, and device. As I have discussed in the previous lessons, right? When you remove one of these elements, this may no longer refer to computer. As for example, electronic device. There are a lot of electronic devices, right? Like for example, refrigerator, cell phone. But when you say electronic processing device, this may pertain to computer. So that is just a simple tip to remember. If we refer to several conceptual elements or features, we refer to a compound idea. Okay. Now, another type of ideas according to comprehension is what we call the one and the multiple. The types according to general view. Okay, what do we mean when we say one? It expresses one thing, nature, or formal feature. Obviously, it is in the term itself, one. Okay, for example, man or house. But when you say multiple, it expresses explicitly a thing as modified by another thing. Okay, as for example, poor man and 3-story house. Now here, take note in this example that man is the thing and there is a modifier, okay, which is the adjective here, which is poor, right? So when you put the thing and the modifier together, you create a multiple idea. So poor man. Another here is a 3-story house, no? So the thing here being modified is the house and the modifier is the 3-story. So if you put the modifier and the thing modified, you create here a multiple idea. Simple, right? One and multiple, simple. It is in the terminology itself. Another type of idea is concrete and abstract. Okay, it refers to the existence of a subject to which a thing inheres. Okay, for example, concrete. When you say concrete ideas, these are ideas with a subject. examples in the PowerPoint, we have hunger and itch. Okay, so when you think of the word hunger, you must necessarily think of a person who is experiencing hunger. You can think of a child in the streets who is experiencing hunger, a beggar who does not have food and has not eaten for days. That is what you call a metaphysical reality, because there is a subject. Another example of a concrete idea is itch. Okay, pangangate, no? When you think of the word itch, necessarily you must have a subject, a human person who feels that itch. Okay, nangangate na tao. Okay, so these are concrete ideas because there is a subject to which they infer. Another type of idea is what we call abstract. When you say abstract, it expresses only a nature or a formal feature without a subject. Okay, so you can think of these abstract terms without thinking of a subject to which it infers. Example is justice and religiosity. Okay, so when you think of religiosity, you can think of religiosity even without thinking of human persons. When you think of, for example, when you think of hope, okay, the virtue of hope, or the virtue of wisdom, you don't need to think of human persons in order for you to grasp the meaning of these things because they are abstract. They do not necessarily have a subject. All right. Another types of ideas according to comprehension is absolute and relative. All right. These refer to that categorization of ideas according to the relation to another comprehension. Example, for absolute, we have man, animal, and minerals. Okay, absolute ideas are those which exist in itself and for itself. Okay, man, animal, minerals, they can stand alone. But when you say relative, these are ideas which necessarily bears a relation to something else. Right? For example, substitute teacher. You cannot think of a substitute teacher without associating it with a full-time or permanent teacher. Okay. Another example here is vice president. If there is a vice president, then necessarily there must be a president. Okay, so there is a correlation with another thing or another comprehension. All right, so I hope you could think of examples of absolute and relative ideas on your own. Now, those are the types of ideas according to comprehension. First is we have simple and compound. These types of comprehension types according to structure, okay, simple and compound. We also talked about one and multiple. We also talked about concrete and abstract. And we also talked about absolute and relative. Now we move on to the types of ideas according to extension. Now, what are the types of ideas according to extension? First is singular. A singular idea is one which applies to a single member of a class. Okay, example, the President of the Republic of the Philippines. That president is one, okay, is singular. Diamond. Diamond is the hardest mineral. In the class of minerals, okay, there is only one hardest mineral, and that is diamond. Okay, in the class of government officials, there is only one President of the Republic of the Philippines. All right, so think of your examples on your own. Now we also have the second type of according to extension, which is universal. When you say universal, it applies individually to all members of a class. All right, so example here, we have car, which is applicable to different brands or names of car. Like, for example, for Toyota Fortuner, Everest, SUV, sedan. Okay, these are types of cars. Another example is wine. Okay, so when you think of wine, this is applicable to different brands of wine, such as Novelino, Mompo, okay, Merlot, Shiraz, Chardonnay, right? This applies individually to all members of a class. That is what you call universal idea. The third type of ideas, according to extension, is what we call particular. Particular applies to some members of a class. Okay, for example, half a dozen, quarter of a century, several ladies, few devotees. Okay, these are only parts of the whole. Okay, when you say particular, it is part of the whole. Okay, um, then we also have that the collective. Okay, collective ideas. Collective ideas are those that apply to all members of a class, counted as one. Okay, like for example, a team. No, a team. It has different members, but they are counted only as one. There is a name for that team. All right. For example, Paulinians. No, when you say Paulinians, that is a team. That is a group of all Paulinians or all Paulinian students or teachers or faculty. No, those who study or teach at St. Paul College of Ilocos. That is the name for the collective term for all the members of that class. Another example is BSN Batch 2025. So if you think of yourself as a member of that batch, then that would be considered as a collective term. Okay, you are a member of that batch. Another example is Christendom. When you say Christendom, it applies to all members of the all adherents of the Christian faith, all those who follow Christ. Okay, collective, right? Another example here is transcendental. Transcendental ideas is that idea which applies to all members of all classes. Example, being and truth. As I have told you a while ago, when you say being, that means existence, right? All of the things that you look around, that you find around you, are considered as being. They are existing. Okay. For example, your ideas, you yourself, the light, okay, the trees, the plants, the animals, all of these are being. Kaya transcendental siya kasi nag-a-apply siya sa lahat ng bagay sa universe. Okay? So those are the types of ideas according to extension. First is singular. It applies to a singular member of a class. Okay? Isang miyembro. Pangalawa is universal. It applies individually to all members of a class. Okay? Third is particular. It applies to some members of a class or a part of the whole. When you say collective, it applies to all members of a class counted as one. Okay? And transcendental, it applies to all members of all classes. And the third categorization is types of ideas according to relation. Okay. What are these types? What are these types of ideas according to relation? First, we have identical and equivalent. Okay. What is the difference between identical and equivalent? Di ba parang magkapareho lang yung mga terms na yan, pero magkaiba talaga sila ng definitions. When you say identical, this has totally the same conceptual frameworks. Magkapareho, identical. No? Like for example, 3 plus 2 and 2 plus 3 in mathematics, this is what we call commutative, di ba? Parehong-pareho. 3 plus 2 and 2 plus 3. Pinagbaliktad mo lang, pero parehong-pareho. God and equals absolute being. Sino yung absolute being? God. Diba? So magkapareho. When you say son, as in S-O-N, and male offspring, no? Male offspring is totally the same as son. It refers totally, identically to the son. Okay? A daughter and a female offspring. When you say female offspring, it is a daughter. When you say daughter, it is a female offspring. So identical talaga sila. Magkapareho. But when you say equivalent, these are ideas with different conceptual features, although they are the same. They are basically the same, but somewhat different. No? Somewhat different. Yan yung tinatawag natin na equivalent. Okay. Examples in your PowerPoint. 5 times 1 and 4 plus 1. Okay? 5 times 1 is 5. 4 plus 1 is 5. Diba? magkapareho yung sagot, pero yung mga conceptual features magkaiba. Kasi yung una, ginamitan niya ng multiplication, yung pangalawa, ginamitan niya ng addition. Di ba? Another example, salt and NaCl or sodium chloride. No? Magkapareho lang yan. Isang bagay lang yung tinutukoy. Yung asin, yung salt, at saka yung NaCl, yung symbol, yung symbol ng salt, no? In the periodic table, 'di ba? So magkapareho sila, pero they are somewhat different because of that different conceptual features. Okay? The first one is the layman's term, salt. Yung pangalawa, that is the scientific symbol, okay, NaCl. Another type of ideas according to relation is pertinent and impertinent. Okay. So ano ba yung pertinent and impertinent? Okay, ito naman yung mga ideas na may magkaibang objects, no? Pero related sila. Okay. What are pertinent ideas? Pertinent ideas are those that are somehow related to each other. For example, freedom and responsibility. Okay. Freedom, kalayaan, responsibility, your sense of duty. They are related, di ba? Related. Okay, because you cannot have absolute freedom, kailangan mo ring maging responsible. Hindi lang naman na puro ka duty or obligation, dapat meron ka ding freedom or kalayaan. Okay? So these two are related to each other. Another example there is food and drinks. Okay? Pag may pagkain ka, naturally you should have a drink, panula. What else? Examples of pertinent ideas, we have love and hatred. Okay, love and hatred. Well, magka-opposite sila, sir, yung love tsaka hatred, di ba? Pero they are related to each other, no? Related pa rin sila. Kasi yung hatred, it is the opposite of love. Okay? Pwede mo ring sabihin na what else? Simple and complex. Okay? Easy and difficult. Kahit na magkasalungat yung mga ideas na yan, even if they are somewhat different, they are related. Related sila. Pero, iba na yung pinag-uusapan natin kapag impertinent ideas. Okay? What do we mean when we say impertinent ideas? These are ideas which are neither related nor opposed to each other. Wala talagang ka-connect-connect. Yung mga bagay na walang ka-connect-connect. Okay? Walang relations. For example, toothpaste and rooster. Anong connect ng rooster doon sa toothpaste? Diba? Anong connect ng toothpaste doon sa rooster? Another example is yung love and clear water. Yung anong kinalaman ng pag-ibig doon sa malinaw na tubig? No? Anong kinalaman ng malinaw na tubig doon sa pag-ibig? Alright? So, these are ideas which are really not related at all. Kahit na magka-opposite man lang sila, walang ka-connect-connect. Okay? So that is the difference, guys, between pertinent and impertinent. When you say pertinent, hindi ibig sabihin na magkasalungat na yung mga ideas na yon, hindi na sila pertinent. Okay? The mere fact that they are opposites, that shows a relation between them. Okay? Related sila. Okay. Another type of ideas according to relation is compatible and incompatible. Anong ibig sabihin ng compatible? When we say compatible, these are ideas with features that may exist in a subject. Okay? Pwede silang mag-coexist. No? For example, beauty and intelligence. When you think of Catriona Gray, she's both beautiful and intelligent. So, yung beauty and intelligence, they can coexist in one person. Okay? Another example here is faith and reason. Yung pananampalataya sa Diyos, tsaka yung reason, yung pangangatwiran ng tao. Okay? So sabi ng philosophers, pwede daw mag-exist, pwede daw mag-coexist yung pag-iisip ng tao, yung siyensya, tsaka yung pananampalataya. These may coexist. Kaya compatible sila. The other type of ideas is incompatible. Ano naman yung incompatible ideas? These are ideas with features that may not coexist in a subject. Hindi sila pwedeng magsama, no? Tulad ng mga ibang ideas na hindi talaga pwedeng magsama. Mga ibang tao hindi din pwedeng magsama. So, what are these incompatible ideas? Okay. An example here is beauty and ugliness. Okay. When you say Catriona Gray is beautiful, you cannot say Catriona is ugly, no? Incompatible na incompatible yan. Hindi sila pwedeng magsama, no? When you say that shape is a square, that shape cannot be a circle. You cannot say na bilog yung bagay na yun. Okay? When you say that your room is dark, you cannot say that your room is at the same time bright, no? Because darkness and light are incompatible ideas, no? So, ayan yung ibig sabihin ng compatible tsaka incompatible. When you say compatible, they can coexist. Pag incompatible, they cannot coexist in one subject. All right. So there are also types of incompatible ideas. No? What are these types of incompatible ideas? Number one, contradictory ideas. No? What do we mean when we say contradictory? There is a negation. Okay. For example, black and non-black. Okay. Kumbaga, ninenegate mo yung black, that is non-black. Hindi siya black. Another example is open and non-open. Okay. Bukas siya at hindi siya bukas. Okay. So most often than not, it is indicated by the word none. Okay. The prefix none. N-O-N. Okay. Kasi may negation siya. So that is contradictory. Those are contradictory ideas. The other type of incompatible concepts are what we call contrary. Okay. So guys, take note ha, magkaiba yung contradictory tsaka contrary. Okay, kapag contradictory, negation. That means you make use of the prefix none, N-O-N. Kapag contrary, they are ideas that indicate opposition. Okay, may pagkasalungat, magkontra sila. For example, black and white. They are extreme opposites. Another example, open, closed. Another example, up, down. Okay? Magkasalungat. Those are contrary ideas. The third type of incompatible concepts or ideas is what we call privative ideas. What are privative ideas? These are ideas which indicate absence of a thing, right? So when you say sight and blindness, no, blindness, it is the absence of sight. No, kaya kapag sight and blindness, these are considered as privative ideas. Another example is goodness and evil, di ba? Evil is the absence of goodness. Okay? What else? Love and indifference, okay? Pag-ibig tsaka yung pagiging manhid, no? Pagiging manhid or indifference is the absence of love. All right? So these are what we call privative concepts. And last but not the least, we have correlative ideas. Okay, the fourth type of incompatible concepts is correlative. When you say correlative, it indicates complementariness. Okay, example here is man and woman. Okay, it indicates something like a partnership. No, magka-partner yung mga concepts na to. Man is a partner of a woman. Meron silang complementariness. All right? Ayan. So, those are the types of incompatible ideas. Some rules to take note, guys. When we talk about contradictory ideas, this is the rule. No? If one is true, the other is false. And if the other is false, the other is true. Okay? So parating magka-contradiction yan. Kapag sinabi mong the shirt is black, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na the shirt is non-black. Kasi kinokontra mo yung sarili mo kapag sinasabi mo yun, di ba? When you have contradictory ideas, you cannot say that one is true and the other is also true. Okay? Kailangan kapag tama yung isa, mali yung isa. Okay? Doon, bumalik tayo sa examples natin, yung open tsaka non-open. Okay. Sagutin natin, gamitin natin sa sentence yan. No, for example, the bottle of water is open. The second statement is, the bottle of water is non-open. Kapag sinabi mong tama yung statement na the bottle of water is open, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na tama rin yung statement na the bottle of water is non-open. Kasi kung sinasabi mo yon, kinokontra mo na yung sarili mo. Alright? So, when there is contradiction in ideas, one is true, the other is false. Okay? Okay. Now, what about for contrary ideas? Ano yung rule natin sa contrary ideas? Sabi dito, if one is true, the other is false, but not vice versa. Okay? Kapag sinabi mong the shirt is black, okay? The shirt is black, no? Tama yung statement na the shirt is black. Kapag sinabi mong the shirt is white, that is automatically false, no? Kapag sinabi mong itim yung shirt mo, tapos sinabi mong ulit na yung shirt mo ay puti, false na kaagad yon. Kasi hindi nga siya puti eh. Black nga siya. Pero kapag yung statement mo na the shirt is black ay mali. Mali yung statement mo na yon, mali daw yung statement mo na the shirt is black. So kapag sinabi mo na the shirt is white, tama ba yon? Not necessarily. It is doubtful. Yung sagot doon, doubtful. Bakit? Kasi pwede namang red yung t-shirt mo, pwede namang green or blue or yellow yung t-shirt mo. Okay? So that is the difference between contradictory ideas and contrary ideas. Okay? Sa contradictory ideas, kapag true yung isa, mali yung isa, yung kabila. Okay? For example, the shirt is black, the shirt is non-black. If the statement the shirt is black is true, the shirt is non-black, that statement is false. Okay? Sa contrary ideas, if one is true, the other is false, but not vice versa. Okay? If one is false, the other is doubtful. Okay? All right. So kapag sinabi mong the shirt is black, which is a true statement. Kapag sinabi mong the shirt is white, okay, that is already false kasi nga tama yung statement na black siya. Okay. Gamitin natin sa iba pang examples para hindi tayo malito. Okay, another example here is open and closed. Okay, example of contrary ideas. Okay, open and closed. Kapag sinabi natin, for example, the first statement, the door is open. Okay. Kapag sinabi mong true yung statement na yon, tapos sinabi mo ulit sa second statement mo, the door is closed. Okay, automatically, yung second statement mo ay false na. Kasi napatunayan na natin na sa first statement mo na the door is open. Bukas yung pintuan mo, no? Pero kapag sinabi mo na false yung statement mo na the door is open. Okay? Ay, nung sinabi kong bukas yung pintuan, mali daw ako. No? So does it naturally follow na sarado yung pintuan ko? It is doubtful, no? Pwede namang it is only half open or there is no door at all. It is doubtful, no? You cannot immediately say that the door is closed. Okay? So if one is false, the other is doubtful. Okay? Yun yung rule natin sa contrary ideas. All right. Another example sa contrary ideas ay yung up and down, di ba? Up and down, they are opposites. So kapag sinabi mong the elevator is going up, okay, the elevator is going up, at sinabi mong tama yung statement na yon, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na the elevator is going down, no? Because if one is true, the other is false. Okay? Pero kapag yung statement mo na the elevator is going up ay mali daw. Hindi naman daw pataas yung elevator. Does it necessarily follow that the elevator is going down? It is doubtful, no? Doubtful kasi pwede namang uh, pataas pa. It is still going up or it is just staying there in that particular level of the building, 'di ba? Hindi ka sigurado kung pababa pa talaga siya. All right? So that is the difference, guys, between contradictory and contrary ideas. So when we have synchronous class in the following week, I know you will have a lot of questions regarding these contradictory and contrary ideas. Feel free to ask me in our synchronous discussion. And may I request you to please answer your quiz, to submit them promptly and punctually. Okay. I will be sending the link in the Google Classroom. After you have watched this lecture, please submit your quiz. So I hope you enjoyed our discussion. I hope you have retained something in your head. And if during the course of your quiz, you can go back to the slides, no, so that you will be able to remember the distinctions between the types of ideas. Okay. So if you have any questions regarding life, regarding religion, regarding philosophy, feel free to ask me so that we will have something to discuss about. As I have told you before, logic is only a tool. No? It is only a tool for our critical thinking. So if you have a lot of questions in your mind, feel free to ask me. Okay? So take care of yourself, take care of your mental health, stay safe, pray always, and enjoy your studies. Okay? Persevere in your studies. Okay. Wishing you all a wonderful week ahead. Goodbye and thank you.